This time on Beat Up Builds, my truck breaks twice. Welcome back, guys. No supercharger in this video. I'm in the process of moving, and then I'm gonna get back onto that. Thank you all. A ton of people have subscribed. That's been a really popular video. I had a feeling it was gonna be popular just because it's kind of cool and different. But yes, thank you guys for subscribing. We're gonna get back to that very soon. Right now, I'm gonna need this truck to move. The radiator clogged up on me the other day. In this portion of the video, it's replaced. There might be a little continuity issue here. But I'm gonna show you how to replace that. And then right now the truck doesn't run. So I'm gonna show you how to diagnose that issue, troubleshoot it, and hopefully we can get this fixed before I move in a week. I'm being forced to change the radiator. I think it's plugged up. At first I was having overheating at lower speeds. It was kind of rare, like if I just run around town I don't notice it. Like I was kind of climbing a mountain at low speeds, and I thought the fan couldn't keep up initially. That was like a month ago. But I was on the highway. I did a longer highway drive the other day, and the temps just kept creeping up. And even pulling, like I pulled off and got on a back road, and I was doing like, 50 probably, just like kind of cruising light throttle, and it didn't lower at all. It just kind of stayed steady and like very, very, very slowly kept inching up. So there's no bubbles coming out of the radiator. There's no oil in the coolant. There's no coolant in the oil. I don't think it's a head gasket. I think this radiator is clogged up again. The coolant looks awful. So I think kind of what happened is, even though I flushed this really good, I think there's still stuff in the radiator. I think maybe some more stuff came out of the block and just clogged it a little more, but I think this radiator is just really clogged and it's just not cooling how it should be. So I have an aluminum one that I'm gonna put in here, and I'm gonna put a screen in the upper radiator hose or something to filter out the bigger chunks, so that way I don't ruin this radiator. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if that fixes it. I'm pretty confident it is a radiator issue, so let's get started. Let's take this one out and start flushing the block down and get it nice and clean. So let me give you some knowledge about overheating issues, at least stuff that I've learned over the years. So a lot of times when it's overheating, like let's say a head gasket, a lot of times you'll have bubbles in the radiator. Especially when you rev it up, you'll get some bubbles through there. If it gets hot and it kind of expands and overflows, that's kind of normal. That's why you have an expansion tank. But if you see like little bubbles coming up, that's not good. Or if your coolant gets like really like black and dirty, there could be combustion getting in there. Or obviously the milkshake, so oil and water mixing, that's not good. That can happen in the oil too. So check those things. If you're overheating, make sure you don't have the head gasket. If you have really good tools, you can do a leak down test on it. And that'll tell you a lot. You can put pressure into it and see bubbles coming up here. I really don't have the equipment to do all that. I'm kind of just going off of my intuition on this one and prior knowledge. One thing that gets overlooked a lot is this radiator cap. If it doesn't build pressure, it'll boil over too soon. So it'll boil over at a lower temperature. Kind of like how you can put salt in when you're boiling pasta or whatever, that actually lowers the boiling temperature, putting salt in. So similar concept, but different things. So this is an easy part to throw at it if you're not really sure. That's one thing. The radiator, if you have too small of a radiator, it'll get hot when you floor it, or if it's like plugged up, it'd probably do the same thing. If you like floor it for a little bit and you can see the temp go up, but then when you let off, it slowly comes back down. If you're just kind of cruising and getting air into it, probably have a radiator issue. Thermostat usually gets stuck open or closed. Most times it gets stuck open. I think they're designed to kind of fail that way. I can't tell you 100% will every time, but that's what they normally do. Obviously, if it fails closed, it's going to overheat, probably pretty quickly. So that's something to look out for. It's usually not too hard to get to the thermostat. What you can do is you could throw that in a thing of boiling water. So like I'll take an old hubcap or something metal and throw it on the barbecue or something, so I'm not doing it in my house. I don't know if that would be great or not. If you have a wife, probably wouldn't like that. But then you can see it open. You can kind of see what temperature it opens if you have a thermometer or like a non-contact one. That'll give you an all right idea. That's kind of it. Those are the main things to look out for. Or like maybe a restriction in one of the hoses. Sometimes I've seen the upper radiator hoses, sometimes I've seen them collapse and like suck close, and that'll make a restriction. Some vehicles have springs in there to keep that from happening. If you've ever seen that, that's what that's for. So sometimes they'll get kind of like sucked closed. So that could be a restriction. Those are the main basic things to look out for. Yeah, let's get this radiator out of here. So there's a bunch of rust in here that I need to clean out. That's probably what's clogging up the radiator. Look how bad that is, I'm surprised. Yeah, that's probably not good. So we'll get that cleaned out. I think it's extra bad too because it got up to 220. I think it kind of like steam cleaned the block out. So I think this is even worse than it actually was. This radiator is super heavy. So I think it's just packed full of junk. And yeah, we'll have to get this new one in here. See that brown, the water is coming out. I gotta restrict it a little bit. It's not even hot yet. We'll let that flesh out a little bit. And then I gotta go in the idle up thingy in here. There's rust all in the lines, so I gotta clean that out too. Probably a heater core I should flush out as well. Shiny new radiator. I gotta transfer the fan over to here and we can stick it in. So here we are. The radiator's the littlest, tiniest bit shorter, and the fan does not fit in here. It's like, I don't know, half an inch too big. Okay, so now I gotta figure out this problem. So much for an easy install. So I ended up cutting like a half inch out of the fan housing, and I don't think the fan blade's gonna fit. We're gonna find out soon enough here. I'm gonna fill this radiator up and we're gonna see if this fixed it. So far no leaks. Hopefully the thermostat will open and it'll suck this down because I filled it way too high. It'll probably just get higher and just overflow and make a huge mess. Let's see what happens. So this radiator has been great. Runs about 10 degrees cooler. I also had to adjust my fan controller down a little bit. And really the fan's kicking on less. It's working out good. It's been a week or two. I put a screen up in the upper radiator hose just to keep crap out of the radiator. I haven't checked that yet, but it's still running cool. I don't think it's clogging up just yet. So I think I'm just gonna try and put that off until I move. And then I'll do that. So right now the truck doesn't run. I drove up to a gas pump, filled up the tank, hit the key to drive away. It did start, but it ran on like 2 cylinders, barely idling, wouldn't take any throttle. Limped it away from the gas pump, looked at it a bit. Didn't really do anything spectacular to it that I would have thought fixed it. Hit the key again, got it started again. For like 2 seconds it ran awful, and then all of a sudden it just went like that, ran perfect again. Drove it somewhere else, turned it on and off a bunch of times, seemed to be fine. Drove it home, sat for a couple days. I went to use it this morning, didn't work. So we're gonna figure it out. I'm leaning towards some kind of fuel delivery issue. Too rich or too lean, could be for a multitude of reasons. since I have a fuel pressure gauge and it's pretty easy to put on, I'm going to start there. I'm going to put that on, jump out the fuel pump so it turns on without like cranking it or anything. See what kind of reading we get. And we can always look at that when it's running too. And then we'll go from there. It could be, vacuum leak could cause the mixture to be incorrect. Too much air, then maybe that's an issue, although it probably would have revved up, unless it's got like a massive vacuum leak. So yeah, let's dig into it and take a look. I think the fuel pressure is going to be the first place to start and see if that's our smoking gun. I got my gauge hooked up to where the cold start injector goes. I got this from LC Engineering. Other people probably make this too. Had this a while. So right now we're on 0 PSI because I haven't done anything yet. Jumped out the fuel pump here, so a B plus to FP, I think it is on here. Yeah. B plus to FP. So when I turn the key on, then we should get some pressure here. So hopefully we get that. So we have some fuel pressure. It's like 30 pounds, maybe 32 or something like that. I think that's about where it should be right now. Yeah, so good news is I don't think the fuel pump's bad. I do have a new one, but the hanger is like, the hoses are really bad on it, like the metal hoses, and I probably need a new hanger. That's like $200, so it doesn't so far seem like it's this, and I'm kind of hoping it's not. So I guess let's try and start it, see what happens. Oh. That's not good. We've got basically no fuel pressure now. Oh, that's not good at all. Oh no. No. Oh man, what are we gonna do? So it looks like it's the fuel pump. Good news is I have a Denso fuel pump and I've had it forever. Bad news is the fuel pump hanger looks terrible. Let me show you. This is what I was worried about. I've known about this for a long time. Those metal lines are about to take a dump and explode or whatever. They're not looking good at all. So if I touch this, they're gonna get ruined basically. So I don't know if I try and take the beat up builds way out and solder some lines on or something. Maybe, although I don't know how great the hanger is going to look on the inside either. Or I think a hanger is like $200, this whole assembly. I don't know, I got to figure that one out. Maybe good news is maybe I can switch these rubber lines over to something ethanol friendly. And then I'd like to run ethanol in the future, because I think that would be good to cool the supercharger down, all that good stuff. So maybe something good could come out of this, but this is gonna suck. I managed to find a cheap fuel pump hanger that's supposed to come tomorrow. So I'm gonna try and start getting this out so it's ready. I'm gonna start here because I think this is the hardest thing to get out. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can crack this loose. You can't use any heat or anything like that because it's fuel and explosions and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna do my best. I put a little PB on there and let it soak a couple days ago, and we're gonna try and get it apart hopefully. So this fitting doesn't want to come off. I'm gonna cut the metal line close to the fitting, and then I should be able to hold the piece I'm trying to save with a wrench and then impact the fitting out, and that should work as long as I do a 6-point impact. Alright, I think it should come off with this. I'm only a little bit concerned though because it smells like gas. This is gonna spark a bunch, I think. So hopefully I don't catch on fire. But I think it's the only way we're getting this out. Aha! Success! Awesome. I was afraid for a second there. So good. The hardest line to get out is out. I loosened all the screws on the top. There was one I had to take out with a vice grip. The other ones don't look great. I hope the new hanger thing comes with screws. So it's just the plug and then the two little rubber hoses, which should just slide off. They just have little clips. They're not under pressure. So we should be in good shape for when that fuel pump hanger shows up. Got my hoses off. I got this thing spinning because this fitting's fixed. Yeah, I think I'm just going to reuse these hoses at the moment just to get it going. As long as this hanger is the same as the other one, I think we're in good shape. I think I have everything we need to do this. So let's pull this out and lay it on the table. Looks like I got lucky for once. It looks the same, I think, here. Anything really different? No, it looks pretty good. Even the top's the same. Oh, way to go, Chinese Amazon seller guy. That's awesome. All right, let's assemble it and put it back in. I got it all in here now. Let's hit the key and see if it squirts fuel all over my back seat. Oh no. So it looks like it's actually leaking down there now. I must have disturbed that crusty line down there enough that it leaks. Well, that sucks. I gotta run a little more line through there. Oh man, what are we gonna do here? Well, this sucks. Anyway, it's leaking down there. I think what I can do is cut it here and just insert a small piece back here next to the gas tank. So that's what I'm going to try and do. From my experience, the brake lines, the Toyota lines are very, very hard and they suck to flare, so I hope I'll be able to flare it. It's getting interesting here. I got the fitting out of here. I'm going to have to reuse this rubber line. There's nothing like that local. I drilled this until the little thing fell out of it, the piece of tube. I'm going to reuse this fitting so I can connect into here. And then I'm going to use a piece of metal line, and then I'm either going to do like a union or a rubber line or whatever to connect it to the original line. There's no metric fittings at the parts stores for some reason. There's barely even any line at any of the parts stores. They used to carry all that stuff. I'm not sure why they're not carrying that anymore. All right, we're ready to try again. That's what I got going on up at the pump here. And then I was able to get a hydraulic fitting here. So let's give it a shot and see if it leaks. I hope it doesn't. So far we got pressure. Looks good too. The skid plate's full of gasoline, but the pump's real noisy, but that guy's not leaking. The pump is super noisy. It is a Denso. I didn't cheap out on the pump. It's not a job I want to do twice. I think that's good. I guess I'll just let it run for a few minutes while I put the clamps and stuff back on and just tidy up the lines, and then we'll go for a ride. Well, it's late, but I went for a long ride. No leaks, it's running great, so we're good now. No more issues. So just in the nick of time, I'm gonna need it to move. So perfect, I got that fixed. So that's it for this episode. Next we'll be on the supercharger. I want to thank you guys. I'm up to over 400 subscribers now, so thanks so much for subscribing, and I'm going to deliver with the supercharger video next time.